No two schools are alike, especially when you start venturing into different cultures and exploring the wider world. While most schools share commonalities like having students, focusing on these similarities would create a rather dull video. Let's dive into what makes schools truly unique. Here are some incredibly strange school practices from around the globe. But before we get started, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to click subscribe button. A unique tradition. In Japanese culture, numerous traditions and rituals are deeply rooted in values like respect and responsibility. One such tradition involves students actively participating in the cleaning and upkeep of their classrooms and school spaces. This practice, known as osuji, which means cleaning, is not a substitute for professional maintenance staff. Japanese schools do employ cleaners. Instead, it serves a greater purpose, instilling a sense of duty towards shared spaces and fostering respect for others. By taking part in daily cleaning routines, children learn the importance of contributing to their community and taking responsibility for their environment. Starting from a young age, students engage in tasks like sweeping, mopping, and tidying their classrooms. These habits become deeply ingrained and are carried into adulthood, contributing to Japan's globally admired cleanliness in public spaces. This tradition teaches children that maintaining order and cleanliness is a collective effort. It's a valuable life lesson that nurtures pride in their surroundings and encourages a sense of shared responsibility. Teachers banning red ink. Here's a story that stirred up unnecessary outrage. A school in Cornwall decided to experiment with a small change, asking teachers to stop using red ink for marking students' work and focus on adding positive feedback. The aim? To create a more encouraging environment for students. But instead of fostering thoughtful discussion, this simple idea was met with a torrent of criticism, with detractors labeling it as another example of millennial snowflake culture. Why bother with encouragement and constructive feedback, they argued, when you could stick to harsher, outdated methods? Critics sarcastically proposed a return to corporal punishment and harsh criticism, dismissing any alternative approaches to teaching as soft. Yet, history has shown that overly punitive methods often left long-lasting negative effects on students. Importantly, this wasn't a strict rule, just a suggestion from the school to try something new. Unfortunately, the backlash it received may have stifled any future attempts to innovate. The Oregon Bike Bus. Here's a heartwarming and innovative idea from Oregon. A PE teacher, Sam Balto, created a bike bus for students to safely ride their bicycles to school together. This initiative, originally started for Earth Day in 2022, was so successful it quickly became a regular activity, inspiring similar efforts across the globe. The concept is simple yet brilliant. Instead of a school bus, groups of children ride their bikes to school in a convoy, guided by parents, teachers, and other adults. This ensures safety while promoting physical activity and reducing car journeys, making it an eco-friendly alternative. The bike bus also brings a social element, allowing kids to enjoy the camaraderie of their peers along the way. Sam Balto has shared the journey through upbeat TikTok videos, where his lively sing-alongs and enthusiasm have drawn attention and inspired others to replicate the idea. What started as a local initiative has sparked a movement, with bike buses popping up in various communities, showing how simple, creative solutions can make a lasting impact. Schools ban ponytails. Japanese school rules often fascinate and perplex the Western media, especially when they touch on controversial or culturally unique practices. One such rule, reported in some schools, prohibits girls from wearing ponytails because the exposed nape of their neck might distract male students. The rationale behind this rule raises eyebrows and questions. Critics argue it perpetuates the troubling notion that women must adjust their appearance to prevent distracting men. It's a mindset that shifts responsibility for self-control away from the individuals who lack it. To clarify, this rule is not universal. It's reportedly enforced in about 1 in 10 schools in certain areas of Japan, far from the widespread ban some articles have implied. Nonetheless, it has sparked debates about gender dynamics and the fairness of such regulations. So, what's your take on this? Are rules like this outdated relics, or do they reflect deeper cultural norms that need re-examining? Let's discuss in the comments below. A spicy debate. It's not uncommon for schools to restrict certain food items in packed lunches, often due to allergy concerns. However, the decision by Lyndon B. Johnson Middle School in Albuquerque, New Mexico to ban Flamin' Hot Cheetos sparked a different kind of conversation. The school sent a letter to parents explaining that the snacks were being left out of packed lunches for several reasons. They cited the lack of nutritional value, kids skipping proper meals in favor of Cheetos, and students sharing the snack, spreading germs and those infamous red fingerprints all over school surfaces. This wasn't an isolated event. California is considering a bill to remove foods containing artificial dyes from schools, including Flamin' Hot Cheetos, as part of broader efforts to promote healthier eating habits among students. But this raises questions. Is banning specific snacks an overreach? Or is it a necessary step to encourage better eating habits and reduce messes in schools? Protesting the no shorts policy. When students at Exeter Academy in Devon, UK, were told they couldn't wear shorts during a sweltering heatwave, they didn't just grumble, they got creative. Reading the school's uniform policy carefully, they discovered a loophole. While shorts were banned, skirts were allowed. So, in a cheeky yet effective protest, over 30 boys turned up to class wearing skirts. The sight of boys in skirts certainly turned heads, but it also made a powerful point. If the school wasn't going to offer a practical alternative to trousers in hot weather, the students would find their own way to stay cool, while still technically following the rules. The protest not only highlighted the impracticality of the no shorts policy, but also sparked a wider conversation about rigid dress codes and their impact on student comfort and well-being. Whether the school rethought its stance remains unclear, but one thing's for sure: those boys rocked their skirts with style and purpose. Teachers banned from saying please. In a baffling twist from Charlotte, North Carolina, a school introduced a rule barring teachers from saying please when addressing students. The idea behind this rule? To deliver clear, no-nonsense instructions that supposedly leave no room for misbehavior. But the logic feels questionable. This policy, which applies to elementary and middle school students, seems to strip interactions of basic politeness, arguably sending the wrong message about respect and communication. Critics suggest that while the aim might be to establish authority, it instead risks teaching children that rudeness is acceptable in positions of power, a far cry from fostering good manners or mutual respect. The "do as I say, not as I do" approach has long been criticized for its ineffectiveness, and this rule might just add to the pile of evidence. After all, wouldn't a little kindness in instruction go a long way in creating a positive learning environment? Banned from using smartphones. As of spring 2025, students in Los Angeles schools will be banned from using smartphones during school hours. The decision aims to tackle what 72% of US teachers identify as a significant distraction in the classroom. The logic seems sound. How can students focus on learning when TikTok, Instagram, and endless notifications are just a swipe away? While Los Angeles schools already had policies limiting phone use during lessons and restricting social media to educational purposes, these measures have proven ineffective in curbing the growing dependence on phones. The new district-wide ban is an attempt to go further, addressing both academic and behavioral issues caused by excessive phone usage. However, the policy has sparked debate. Critics argue that completely banning phones could make it difficult for students to communicate with parents during emergencies or use useful tools for learning. Others question how effectively such a ban can be enforced in schools where staffing and oversight are already stretched thin. Banned from hugging. In an effort to maintain a calm and orderly atmosphere, 2 schools have implemented a blanket ban on all physical contact between students. The reasoning behind the rule is to eliminate any potential confusion between playful interactions and more serious behaviors, such as fighting. The goal: to create a controlled environment where students can focus without distractions or conflicts. However, the rule has raised eyebrows for its sweeping nature. The ban includes simple acts of affection or support, such as hugging, holding hands, or even high-fiving. The only exceptions are for activities like sports and performing arts. While the idea might stem from a desire to prevent aggressive behavior, critics argue that it could strip students of opportunities to express kindness and empathy. If a student is upset or in need of support, where is the comfort? And if a friend does something worthy of celebration, should they be denied the joy of a congratulatory hug or high five? A sweet sacrifice. In Massachusetts, a statewide ban on bake sales in public schools was introduced to promote healthier eating and align with the state's nutritional guidelines. This means that the sale or serving of foods considered unhealthy, such as sugary treats and junk food, has been prohibited across all areas of the school, including cafeterias, hallways, vending machines, and even during the 30 minutes before and after school hours. Naturally, the decision has caused a stir, with critics arguing that it infringes on the right to indulge in sweets. However, the ban isn't as extreme as it may sound. While it does limit treats like birthday cupcakes in class, it's worth noting that not all students can afford to bring in extravagant baked goods, and let's face it, many kids end up scraping off the frosting and leaving the cake behind. The ban reflects a shift toward prioritizing students' long-term health over temporary indulgences. While it may not be popular with everyone, the policy aims to foster healthier eating habits and reduce reliance on junk food within schools. Acronyms banned in yearbooks. At Birmingham Falls Elementary School in Milton, Georgia, a new rule banning the use of acronyms in the yearbook caused a stir. The school took a firm stance against what they saw as text speak, like OMG and LOL, requiring students to sign a pledge promising not to use any acronyms when writing in each other's yearbooks. Anyone who broke the pledge would face the punishment of having their yearbook confiscated and being sent to the principal's office. This rule sparked outrage, with many feeling it was an overreaction to a harmless part of modern communication. After receiving backlash, the school decided to back down and lifted the ban, allowing students to write freely in their yearbooks once again. As a result, the yearbook returned to its usual mix of humorous and light-hearted messages like Josh Smells and I Heart Pizza, with the freedom to use acronyms once more. Well, sort of. The controversy over AI, the rise of ChatGPT, has undoubtedly caused some concern in certain sectors, particularly in education. When students who previously struggled to write even a few sentences began submitting sophisticated assignments, like complete analyses of Shakespearean plays that seemed to follow similar patterns, it became clear that something was amiss. The AI's presence in schoolwork raised alarms about its influence on learning, and in 2023, New York City school districts took action by banning ChatGPT from all school networks and devices. The ban was prompted by concerns over plagiarism, which is a real issue that needs to be addressed, but also because ChatGPT can be prone to errors. The AI, while impressive, often generates incorrect information, repeats itself, and relies heavily on stock phrases. It doesn't truly think or create, and it certainly doesn't offer original ideas. What students are left with is a stream of inaccurate, generic content, far from helpful in an educational context. While the chatbot can assist with certain tasks, its flaws and potential for misuse led to its removal from educational settings. What do you think? Should schools embrace ChatGPT or keep it out of the classroom? Let's discuss in the comments. Separated by curtains. In Afghanistan, strict rules govern education, especially for women and girls, under the Taliban's regime. A university in Kabul made headlines when images of a classroom emerged showing male and female students sitting separately, divided by a grey curtain. While this may seem extreme, it marked a step forward compared to previous periods when the Taliban had completely banned women and girls from attending school. However, this progress was short-lived. As of 2023, the Taliban reinstated a ban on girls' education beyond the 6th grade, effectively making it illegal for them to pursue any formal education. Women are also prohibited from working in many sectors, facing severe limitations on their freedoms. The situation remains dire for many in Afghanistan, with women and girls being denied basic rights, including the right to education. Nap time in school. Nap time in school might seem like a luxury, but in some countries, it's a well-established practice. While kids in the United States typically stop napping by the time they reach elementary school, in China, students are encouraged to rest during the school day all the way through middle school, and sometimes even into adulthood. A study by the University of Pennsylvania found that around 20% of children regularly experience drowsiness, and for 5th and 6th graders, ages 10-12, napping actually has benefits. Those who napped regularly showed improved happiness, self-control, and grit. There were also fewer behavioral issues and better academic performance overall. Could nap time be the key to better student outcomes? Perhaps it's time to start a campaign for midday naps in schools everywhere. Ugg Boots banned in school. Ugg Boots, those controversial, often considered unattractive and foot-damaging shoes, have been banned in a school in Pennsylvania. While their aesthetic may not win any style awards, the ban isn't primarily about looks. The real issue, according to the school, is that students could use the boots to smuggle items like cell phones into class. But let's be real, if students are determined to hide contraband, they'll find a way. After all, bags are also effective hiding spots. So while banning Ugg boots may seem like an easy fix, it probably won't make a huge dent in curbing smuggling. And frankly, most people probably won't miss those boots anyway, especially those who value foot support over fashion. Running at recess banned. This one might sound like a joke, but it's happening in real life. Some schools in the UK have banned running at recess, all in the name of preventing injury. But seriously, how many injuries are really happening from running around at playtime? More importantly, how many kids these days are getting enough exercise or spending time outdoors? Banning running seems to ignore the need for physical activity and outdoor play. It's not just a UK thing either. In the US, schools in places like Broward County, Florida, Boston, Massachusetts, Cheyenne, Wyoming, Spokane, Washington, and Portland, Oregon, have also started restricting recess activities, banning games like tag, touch football, and even removing playground equipment like swings and slides. It seems like schools are becoming more focused on protecting kids from minor injuries than encouraging them to be active and have fun. Military training in schools. In China, military training has become a part of the school curriculum, with middle schools, high schools, and universities now required to include basic military training. This initiative is part of a broader effort to improve national defense education, which has been introduced under revisions to China's National Defense Education Law. The idea behind it is to increase national defense awareness among the younger population. While some might argue that it's essential for citizens to understand the role of defense in their country, the idea of kids as young as middle schoolers undergoing military-style training sounds unsettling to many. The government's justification is that it will improve discipline, readiness, and patriotism. However, the images of young people being trained for military purposes may evoke concerns about militarizing childhoods. Ban on headscarves in French schools. In France, the issue of secularism in schools has sparked significant debate, particularly regarding the ban on headscarves and other religious symbols. This policy, upheld by the French government, prohibits the wearing of headscarves, kippahs, and large Christian crosses in public schools, aiming to maintain the separation of church and state. While the law intends to promote secularism, it has faced criticism for disproportionately targeting Muslim students, as headscarves are most commonly associated with Islamic faith. Critics argue that the policy excludes and stigmatizes Muslim communities, while some supporters claim it protects the secular nature of the education system and prevents religious influence on students. This issue has sparked discussions about the balance between personal religious expression and state-imposed secularism, with many questioning whether the law is inclusive or discriminatory. The conversation around this policy is likely to continue, as it touches on deeply rooted cultural and religious tensions in France. The underwear police. Japanese schools are known for enforcing strict and sometimes bizarre rules, but one of the most eyebrow-raising policies involves students being required to wear all-white underwear. This rule has been enforced in several schools across the country, with reports of staff members even going as far as tugging on female students' bra straps or supervising them while they change into sports outfits just to ensure they are following the rule. However, the most extreme enforcement of dress code can be seen in a school where girls who break the skirt-length rule are forced to wear their underwear around their knees as punishment. The logic behind this bizarre punishment is that if a student is going to break the rule by wearing a skirt that is too short, they should fully expose themselves. The rule and its enforcement have raised serious concerns about privacy violations and human rights, with many Japanese citizens calling for the abolishment of such invasive policies. These strange practices, while not unique to Japan, have attracted scrutiny and criticism, highlighting the tension between school authority and personal privacy. What are your thoughts on these extreme measures? First graders given toys in Germany. In Germany, there's a charming tradition that celebrates the start of formal schooling for children, the Schultüte, school cone. On their first day of school, first graders receive a large, colorful paper cone filled with toys, sweets, and small gifts. This tradition, which dates back over 100 years, symbolizes the child's transition from preschool to elementary school and marks the importance of this milestone. Originally, these cones were handmade, and the gifts inside were simple, often including small toys and treats. Over time, the cones have become more elaborate, and it's now common for parents to spend between $5 and $100 on filling them. Some even buy the cones pre-made, and some can cost as much as $40. The child carries the cone to school on the first day, and it is traditionally opened at home afterward. This tradition, unique to Germany, symbolizes both the excitement and the challenges of starting school, offering a sweet and symbolic start to a child's academic journey.